Yeah, hello. Uh-huh. Yeah, sure. Yeah, this coming Wednesday. Yeah, it's just a simple scene between two individuals, a girl and we're having an older man play the role of a lecturer. Yeah, yeah, that's with Robinson's Creed. Mm-hmm. With the guns. No, what about them? You want to rob a bank? Serious? I see. No, our prop guns. That's not gonna work. Yeah, what I have now is I don't think I don't think you're gonna fool any security personnel with it. It just won't work. Okay, so with the next tutorial, that's gonna be we are working on a more realistic models, and that's not gonna be for a few weeks. I would say give or take a month or two. I need to get the right materials. This time around, I want to make sure it really, really looks the part. But are you sure about this, robbing a bank? Oh, if you say so. Yes, you're my friend, and that's what friends are for. Well, if you insist, when it's done, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, sure. Okay, I'll talk to you then. Alright guys, sorry about that. That was just a weird phone call with a friend of mine, and he's talking about robbing a bank using one of our prop guns, and I'm talking about one of these. So yes, back to today's episode, and of course it's time with cinematographers, and talking about all stuff related to video content making, and yeah. And of course, enjoying what you do and how you do it. So the focus today is more on DIY stuff. I'm going to be talking about some prop models, and then I'm also going to be talking about some of our low-cost gear that has to do with sound or audio when we are on set and filming. So today's setup is a bit different. Normally, I would have this mic, out of the frame, hidden somewhere, and then I just talk and it picks up the audio feedback and it gets recorded. But this is important today simply because of what we'll be getting to in the latter stage of this video. But first off, let me start with what the phone call was about, and of course, talking about DIY stuff related to guns. So we have a project coming along in a couple of weeks' time, and it's going to be an action kind of thing. We want to try our hands on some, fast-paced action stuff. And yes, we're going to need the right kind of equipment, right gear, and the right kind of props to make sure it looks the part for our viewers out there. So we are looking at something of a sniper role regarding, some of the characters. And with a model like this is made out of a PVC pipe and paper and a bit of wood and some other plastic components, but it does work, okay? In terms of not in terms of really shooting people, but hey, it does work from a distance. It can look like a sniper rifle, but for what we have in mind, we want to be developing something that's going to be more realistic looking. So we're going to be using more wood, a bit more paint, and a bit of metal, like the steel we can get our hands on, and just shaping things and modeling things to look the part. So with something like this, from some distance away, like, in terms of where the camera will be placed or our camera angles, this can work. And I can just try my hands out on some of my neighbors' chickens in the, can I say near distance? So just give me a bit. Let me just see. And, yeah, I can see a few of them. And just, getting my sightings. And, yeah, there's a rooster I really don't like. So let me just have a shot and see. And with the effects. Oh, not too bad. Yeah, so that was it for testing out our prop gun, and I think it's time to move on to what we really need to be discussing today, which is how we record audio when we're out in the field or on location, shooting a scene and trying to make sure we get the best of whatever is available. So with most film crews, anytime you're filming outdoors, due to the presence of wind, because whenever wind hits a microphone, you get this kind of, the feedback is really not the best. It's more like a buffering sound. I think I'll put in a little segment whereby we show you what audio is like with just a mic without any protective gear around it. And by protective gear, I'm referring to a blimp, and that is what we are going to be talking about, a DIY version. So normally, if it's not too windy, you can get away with just recording your audio with a setup like this. And of course, like I said, normally I would have this mic out of the frame, usually about a foot or more above my head, so that it's not in the frame. And that's just how it works when it comes to producing movies. But with this scenario now, it's important that I have the microphone over here because I need to be talking about this. And this is what we use to record our audio when we are outdoors and it is quite windy. So, like I said, today's episode is all about DIY, doing it yourself. And making one of these is quite simple. And I think it's something any of us can get down to doing. And it's really going to make a big difference when it comes to the kind of audio that you're going to have eventually. So I'll just pull this out and show you what it's about. And it's honestly quite easy to make. It's nothing to it. So with most film productions or most film crews, gear is really of essence if you're going to be getting the right quality, either video-wise or when it comes to audio. And a blimp is something that is really integral to creating or shooting scenes outdoors. A blimp normally has an inner structure, like a kind of cage set up. And within the blimp, of course, with this, I'll show you some close-up details. Within the blimp, you normally have a few bands or clips connected with bands to the frame, such that it's able to hold the microphone in between whatever structure is there, and it kind of has the microphone suspended so that it's situated well. And of course, you have an outer structure, not this, but then it's normally made of some kind of fairy material. Of course, it's all synthetic, and all that material goes around the frame so that you have the microphone inside here, and it's protected from the action of wind out there, so that you don't have any buffering sound, and it sounds nice and clear and no problems when it gets down to the editing table and you need to work on your sound and clean it up and make sure it's of the right quality and pleasing to the hearing of your audience. Because trust me, your video content or your footage can look really great, but then if the audio is bad, it really just irritates viewers. For some, that's just the way it is. Audio is really integral to producing content, no matter what you're doing. If it's a vlog, whatever, audio is really critical. So knowing the right setup when it comes to audio is integral to your production. Of course, with today's video, most of you out there, I'm sure, are professionals. We are kind of dealing with amateurs, people who want to really start up in the field or industry of cinematography. And for us, like I said, most of our productions are really low budget, skeleton budgets kind of thing. And with a lot of gear, we either borrow. When there's not enough money, then we try and create what we will need in onset. And so moving forward, this is what I made out of a bit of PVC piping. I think PVC is a phenomenal bit of stuff to have around. It's what I use for this rifle, and it's what I will be using for parts of the next project, because I was talking about producing a realistic rifle, something that really looks the part. So it's going to be a better model than this. We're going to use better quality materials, wood, and the rest. But then, yes, moving back to PVC, you can just have any large bit of pipe and you cut it into a section, just like this one. It's so straightforward. Just cut a few segments, so that you can get your hands inside there. And what I've done in here is use a bit of thread, which you just kind of double up the length of thread so that they're quite thick, and you can create little grooves in here so that you can have the threads crisscrossing. And then what that does for you is creates something of a framework, if I may use that expression, such that you can take your mic out then and slip it inside here. And just bear with me whilst I kind of just slip this through. And once it's inside there, this whole structure can then go into a layer of foam. Now, what I did with this bit of foam, this high density foam, luckily I was lucky to have a length of it, so it's quite simple to make this. I mean, it's so straightforward. Just make sure you have enough of a roll of foam material, enough to go around this, lengthwise and all. And of course, the diameter must be large enough to ensure this is able to fit inside snugly. And then it's going to house this whole structure. And at the ends, I cut out some circular bits. That's quite simple again. Just put this on a bit of, on whatever other bits of foam material you have. And all you need to do is just create a circle. You can either put your hand inside and draw it around, but I did it all the way around using, the circular bits over there, just to make sure I get relatively right dimensions. And then I trim it a little bit down. And so what that does is, of course, you want to have one end in here to make sure that, again, it's all about protecting the microphone from the action of wind. So this goes on one bit here, and then, of course, you have another circular end bit here, which will go over here, such that when this whole structure is housed inside here, you can then slip this length of cable with this end bit connected to your mic, and the cable comes out here. And then, of course, sorry about this falling here. Let me put this back here. So that makes this whole, setup. And then, of course, it's also important to factor in your boom pole. So what I have over here, and again, I will provide you some close-up shots, is just a few nuts which I had a colleague or a friend weld together to ensure that, we have quite a length of nuts welded together so that this bit then screws onto the boom pole, and you can have the whole setup now inside here. And of course, this is something I can screw off so that this entire structure can be housed inside here. And if you realize, I've cut out a section over here so that the boom pole and this bit will project out here. And the whole thing works just fine. And trust me, it makes a big, big difference when it comes to recording sound. Especially, we've used this along the beach, along the coastline, and it works great. It's kind of like, just purchasing a proper blimp out there. It's still going to do the business for you. I know most blimps, you're looking at upward of $200. Some of them even go for $300 plus. So if you are working on a budget like we normally do, really, really tight budget, it really, really helps if you can make your own stuff and get away with, with excessive costs. Because, of course, other things when it comes to productions take up quite a bit of money, feeding, paying for locations, so many little things out there, and it's really, really helpful that you are able to improvise. So, I think this is something that most of you, if you're starting off, and especially if you're in Ghana, you may not have access to a blimp to be able to record sound out in the field. Getting your hands on something like this, creating something like this is going to make such a big difference with your video content, and it will make sure or ensure that you get good quality sound. I'm not going to say it's going to be like some Hollywood production out there, but you'll get decent sound that you can work with, and in the long run makes a really, really big difference. And of course, I'd like to outline that when we are recording sound also, as much as possible, it is really important that whatever mic you're using, depending on how you've planned your scenes, with most of our scenes, we make sure we set up the sound before, the sound where the microphone is going to be positioned before we then have our cameras opened up to see what it's looking like. So I would really, really advise that when you're recording sound out in the field, especially if you're using microphones as we get here, like Panasonics and other, a lot of the microphones I use are from China. Some of the models I don't even know. I think I'll put some details inside there, but every now and then I'm able to get my hands on a Sennheiser or on a Rode microphone. I do have a Rode microphone. What I have inside here is quite old. It is a Rode microphone, but it's quite old, and I'll show you. It's gone through quite a bit of wear and tear, but it's still it still works. That's the business, but of course it's not like a couple other models I've used. Like I occasionally get to borrow a Sennheiser from a friend. And with a Sennheiser, trust me, audio quality, audio feedback is really, really excellent. But if you are using a Panasonic microphone, a low budget kind of microphone, then yes, its position is really, really integral to the kind of quality you're going to get. For us, we obey a rule of not more than a foot as much as possible. So wherever the person is standing, whatever angles we are using, normally the microphone is just going to be placed a little bit here so that, or just about a foot. And we should be able to position our camera in such a way that you do not see the microphone, and it gives you really, really good feedback, and the audio quality is really, really, of a good standard. So guys, I think this is something I will encourage all of you to do. If your budget does not cater to you being able to get the right kind of equipment, there's quite a lot of stuff that you can make on your own. Like I said, this is a blimp. It's not the kind of blimp you're going to find out on the market. This is something that you make yourself with a bit of PVC pipe, and it is so cheap. This is under 100 cedis. Trust me. With this lens, these are just like it's more scrap material I picked up along the way. A bit of glue just to connect the ends of the length of foam, the PVC piping and thread. I'm thinking of replacing the thread with a bit of thick rubber bands. I think that's better. It doesn't really because I think with the length of thread, at times the microphone slides a little bit, but it all boils down to just how tight you make the network, or can I say the crossing of thread, length of thread in there. The tighter they are, the more well placed they are, the better it will be for your microphone, and it will be housed inside here, nice and cushy, and it will be central. It's important that you make sure the microphone does not touch the sides, or else you're going to get some really bad audio quality. So guys, I would strongly encourage you to be able to do something like this. If you are a low budget, team starting off, it's not always you need to go higher stuff. There are quite a few things you can make on your own, which will really, really help with your production and, give you good results. I'm hoping we can continue with these tutorials. I think in the next video, I'll be talking about a rig. I have this kind of rig setup I use. Instead of a normal rig, again, it's made out of PVC pipe. And I think PVC it's phenomenal material. It's lightweight, strong, and it does the business. And yeah, works for you. So I would say apologies in case the audio is not as clean as it should be, because I have the mic exposed. It's a little bit windy. You may see in the background leaves and stuff moving about. But yeah, apologies. But I thought it's really important to be able to show you, what this can do. And like I said, I will try and have some, some audio in there along the course of this video, just to let you be able to listen to sound when it's recorded with a blimp that's outdoors and without a blimp. And I think you realize that it makes a really, really big difference. So as always, I'd like to say, please help our channel grow. Subscribe, like, share our content, of course, really watch our content. And we do hope to be bringing you more content which will help you in terms of whatever projects you're working on. If it's a short video, music video, whatever, I'm getting a few other guys on board, and we are going to be giving you quite a lot in the course of time, behind the scenes footage, how we go about shooting and stuff. We're getting better gear, better cameras over time we are building, and it's looking much better. And I would say with like our current project, Robinson's Creed, and of course, let me make mention of Men's View, we are going to be dropping more content on this channel. So please guys, once more, like, share, subscribe, and till we meet again, I'll say peace and take care of yourself. There are 5 ways we go about. Okay, sorry. Ready? Recording. There are 5 ways I go about killing my neighbor's chickens on a Sunday. There are 5 ways I go about killing my neighbor's chickens on a Sunday.